Okay, we're going to start 6.1 today. In this chapter, we're going to learn to find the slope of a line segment and a line. We're going to graph a line given different forms of its equation, and we're going to find the equation of a line given different information. Okay, keywords. We are going to have to understand what the word slope means, and slope is now going to be represented by the fancy letter M. Rise is the change in y. So it's y1 minus y2. Run is the change in x, or the horizontal change, which is x1 minus x2. Okay, negative reciprocals. Let's talk about this. The word reciprocal is just a fancy word for flip. So negative reciprocal. So if you had 2/3, the negative reciprocal of that would be negative 3/2. You'd flip it, you change its sign. So I don't want you to get stuck with this word negative. It could be a negative and it could turn into a positive. So if I had negative 4/5, the negative reciprocal of negative 4/5 would be simply 5/4. You'd flip it, you'd change the sign because a negative is positive. Okay, these are going to be the three different forms of the equation that we take a look at in grade 10. Slope-intercept form, okay, which is very familiar to you because I would have shown it to you a little bit in grade 9. Slope point form, which will be brand new, and general form, which will be brand new. Okay, so the slope of a line is simply the steepness, okay? And it will be represented by rise over run. So we've talked about that. Okay, y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. And if you remember from the last unit, we talked about slope as being the rate of change. Okay, so first things first, okay, there are 4 sort of different types of slope. The first one is a positive sloping line, and that's one that rises from left to right, so it moves upwards. We call that a positive slope. Opposite of that, of course, would be a negative sloping line, which falls from left to right. And then we have 2 sort of new ones that we haven't talked about. A horizontal line has 0 slope, so no slope at all, so we say 0. A vertical is, of course, the steepest line that you could ever draw, and we call that undefined, okay, or some teachers will call it infinite, but oftentimes you'll see it represented by the infinity symbol. So you might have seen that on the Métis flag before. Okay, so that's a vertical line. Okay, so it's real simple if we're going to determine the slope of each line. And we have to remember that it's going to be, sometimes we're going to be in fraction form, and so what we're going to need to do is reduce that fraction, okay? So if we were looking at this, the first thing I want you to identify is that that's a positive sloping line. And now I'm going to count from A to B vertically first. So how far did I have to go up to get from point A to point B? I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see how we're in line with that now? So I wrote down 6. And now run, okay, is the other part of it, which is the change horizontally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 6 over 10, which of course we would reduce to 3/5. And I want to show you what that means. Okay, if you were given 1 point here and you were told that the slope of this line is 3/5, you could actually draw the line, because you could go up 1, 2, 3 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lo and behold, okay, your dot's right on that line, and then up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we could draw that line. Okay, next line. We can see that it's a negative sloping line. I always write that down first because sometimes I forget because I go through the motions of finding my slope. Okay, to get from C to D, we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see when you have negative 10 over 5, the line in a fraction, of course, means divide, so we would end up with negative 2. Okay, I just want to show you something. So you can start at C and you can go, okay, I went down 1, 2, and over 1, and do you see how you were at a corner and on the line? So you don't have to go from one end to the other. You can just find where it crosses at a corner of a grid too as well, and then you don't have to worry about reducing, but entirely up to you. Okay, if we were to do these A, B, okay, I can see that it's a positive sloping line. So what did I do? Rise first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that of course can't be reduced. So what's the slope of line segment AB? 6/5. All right, let's do C, D. Now again, the first thing I'm going to do is determine that it's a negative sloping line. I went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I went over 1, 2, 3. So negative 8/3. And that also can't be reduced. We're not going to turn these into mixed fractions. We're going to leave them like that. You have to know the rise and you have to know the run. Okay, E, F, and EF is a horizontal line, so the slope of that line is simply 0. Okay, so I'm going to post my notes, so you're going to do the you tries here, okay? So here it's just asking to put your rise first, your run, and then you do your slope afterwards. So let's just do one together. AB is a negative sloping line. Sorry, my dog's barking. Down 1, 2, 3. So our rise was -3, and our run was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what's our slope? -3/5. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now we're going to do draw a line segment here. Okay, and so one has 7/5. So that means it's got a rise of 7 and a run of 5. So you start anywhere. Okay, I'm going to start right here. You put your point anywhere up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what you simply do, you could do another set of dots if you wanted. Okay, but you're just going to take your ruler and you're going to draw your line. Okay, so if I had to do -3/8, I might start over here because I know I'm going to have to go down 1, 2, 3, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's your line segments. I'm not doing a very good job with my ruler right now. Okay, so there's that line. And then if you had slope of 3, please remember that every whole number is really over 1. So you start here, up 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. I'm going to try freehanding it. Ooh, not bad. I've had about 10 coffee. Okay, so you're going to try these ones. Okay, I'm going to add one here just because I want to make sure. What if I had a slope that was infinite? Just remember that that means a vertical line. So you'd simply draw me a vertical line. Okay, one more thing we need to get through today. Determine the slope given 2 points on the line. Okay, and you know that math teachers are super creative, so we've called this the 2-point slope formula. Yeah. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. And this should come back to you from the last unit. Okay, we talked about rate of change, which was simply this. So remember what I told you. It makes a lot of sense if you go over here and you label your points. So this one came first. This point was given to us first, so we call it x1 and y1. This point was given us to us second, so it's x2 and y2. That's simply the whole gist of it, okay? x1 minus x2, and now we simply substitute it in. So what was y1? -3, subtract 1, and then here we had -5, subtract 2, and we ended up with -4 over -7, and of course a negative divided by a negative, we would simply say that that would be a positive 4/7. x1, y1, x2, y2. I always write the formula down incorrectly, apparently. Okay, and then we plug this in. So we're going to get 9 minus 6. Now I want you to be super careful here. 7 minus -3. And what happens when we have two negatives in a row? Becomes a positive. Okay, so the formula can't change, so we have to be really aware of our integer rules. 9 minus 6 is 3, and 7 plus 3 is 10, and that's our slope. And what that's saying is if we had a point on this graph and we were to draw its slope of a line, we would go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 10. Okay? So now I'm just going to go to the U-tries on the next page. I want you to give that a whirl, and of course I will post the notes that are blank, and I will post the notes that are filled in, and then you take a look at the video and then try a real short assignment. Okay, miss you.